Now that I've seen Superman and Fantastic Four First Steps, my most anticipated movie for the rest of the year is easily Guillermo del Toro's new version of Frankenstein, coming to Netflix in November. The Frankenstein monster is my favorite creature. My favorite Universal movies are Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I love the book. I've taught it for years. It's even the subject of this shirt my lovely wife gave me for my birthday. In a recent interview about the movie, Del Toro was asked if he was planning to play up the angle of the Frankenstein monster as a metaphor for artificial intelligence, which has become pretty popular lately. But Del Toro said he's not planning to do that. That's not the story he's trying to tell. He's viewing Frankenstein as more of a family tragedy and a character drama. Look, the man won Best Picture for what was essentially a remake of Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm not giving him notes. I do think the AI analogy is a good one, though. Frankenstein is basically a story about a man who creates something too powerful to control, and then instead of nurturing like he should, he abandons it to its own devices, and terrible things happen as a result. The metaphor is just staring you in the face. But it's not like Frankenstein is the only story this metaphor applies to. There are stories about people unleashing forces beyond their control, going back to ancient Greece, the story of Pandora's box. There are shades of it in the story of the Garden of Eden from the Bible. In modern times, Stan Lee famously introduced the Hulk as a creature who combined elements of Frankenstein with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And let's not forget all the stories with actual AI gone amok. 2001: A Space Odyssey, Tron, Ultron from the Avengers, the entire Terminator franchise, Chopping Mall, Conky the Robot from Pee-wee's Playhouse. The list goes on and on. These are all fiction, of course, except for Conky. But that doesn't mean that we can't learn something from these stories. In fact, I think it's important that we do. A few weeks ago, I made a video about artificial intelligence that turned out to be the most viewed reel I've ever done. I mean, seriously, it more than quadrupled my previous record. Thank you all for that, by the way. But I want to clarify a few things. First of all, I want everyone to understand that I'm not opposed to AI as a general concept. There are definitely positive uses for this kind of technology. For example, AI is very good at detecting potentially cancerous cells before they become dangerous. It's great for sorting through massive amounts of data that would take humans literally years to do. And I'm actually quite positive about the potential for AI as an assistant to people who give care to the elderly or the disabled. Assistant, not replacement. But I'm never going to be okay with generative AI used in things like writing, drawing, music, acting, the arts. Art, by its very nature, is an expression of the soul of its creator, and AI doesn't have that. And I don't care how good you think you are at writing prompts. All it's ever going to be able to do is regurgitate what it's already been fed. In fact, we're already seeing the evidence of it. Have you ever noticed how much AI art these days looks something like this? Like it was created by somebody whose only frame of reference was a single frame from a Studio Ghibli film, and then he soaked the results in urine? That's because there's so much AI slop on the internet already that the algorithm is scraping up its own vomit and then regurgitating it out again. It's creating a homogeny that's sad at best. That's why I'm not particularly worried about AI becoming better at the arts than human beings. With the technology that exists today, it's impossible. It can't create anything new. What worries me is the notion that it'll become good enough that the people who make executive decisions will decide to accept it. There are a lot of people running movie studios and publishing houses who don't actually care if the result is any good or not. They just want it to be cheap enough that they can turn a profit with the result. Therein lies the real danger of generative AI. People already complain that all movies and TV shows are the same. Just ask yourself how you're going to feel when they all look like this. Generative. That word is hard to say.